everyone. Welcome to Care Lab.
I am so excited that we are here today, and we have Justin Oakley with us. This is going to be so full of good information for you guys. Justin is the founder of Oakley Home Access, and which is a field service home accessibility equipment company. You know I love that. It specializes in installation of products, including, but definitely not limited to, things like grab bars and ramps and stair lifts and barrier-free showers and elevators. Yes, you can have an elevator in your house. Their core values include aging in place and fall prevention and increasing accessibility. And an in-house occupational therapist begins this process with a free home safety assessment. And then their in-house certified installation technicians complete agreed upon projects in a timely fashion, which is really key because sometimes contractors use a lot of subcontractors, which means it might be challenging to make sure you're getting repeatable, high quality across all the jobs. And so they also know that funding is a challenge sometimes and have some funding programs and some financing options available. And so Justin is also an occupational therapist and a wealth of knowledge. And so since he's a mashup of OT and contractor, we're so excited to have you on the show today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Brandy, Amelia. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we're really always pumped to have another occupational therapist on the show. And I think I'm very excited in particular to hear what you have to say and really pick your brain about, what you're doing and how you're doing it, because I think you're solving a bunch of problems in a really unique way. So can't wait to pick your brain on that. But first, we always start with an icebreaker question. And Justin, we didn't tell you this earlier because I forgot to,
okay.
But you have to go first.
Okay.
For the question. So, but this one's, it's not too bad. It's kind of a softball. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. So what is one thing that you do every day that helps you to relax or wind down or just draw the day to a close?
That's a great question. We got some long days in this business. I would say it sounds a little silly and simple, but breathing is what works for me the most. Deep belly breaths, the Wim Ham breathing techniques, super deep breathing. Belly breathing, inhaling, exhaling for longer, getting all that carbon dioxide out is just a great way for me to kind of focus. It's usually, on my drive home, before I go to the wildness of the family and the great wildness of the family, but just like a sense of calm, before I get out of the truck, to enter the circus is just really something that I try to do every single day. To get myself focused, but and then chase the kids around at basketball practice is always fun too.
Exactly. We just started basketball practice too in our house with my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old. So it's their first season playing.
Nice. I have the same age.
That's so exciting. Are they
having a
fun?
blast? We have our first game on Saturday, so yeah, they're having a good time.
That's awesome.
That is a awesome way to transition. I like to do that too in between sections of the day because we're in the same trenches right now, Justin. So work and then morning time, get them to school, breathing, work, breathing, get the kids back. But the thing I'll focus on is because you kind of mentioned end of the day, and I like to make sure that I don't go to bed right after the kids go to bed. So no matter what it is I do in that little bit of time, I need my little bit of time to just do something that only I need to do for myself, and then go to sleep. So yeah,
I like it. I've been trying to teach myself how to play the guitar, and although it's not the greatest, it's something, and that helps keep my mind at ease too and calm me down after the kids are asleep, for sure.
I think it's so good to just have something that is not work or stress related that you can focus on.
Yeah.
Learning to play an instrument is such a good example of that. It's not even necessarily about obviously you want to be good.
Yeah.
It's not even about being good in that moment, but you have to be deeply focused on it. And I think that is super, super helpful for de-stressing. I think that's wonderful. I wish I were learning to play an instrument. I'm not. That's not my answer.
I never thought I would. I don't have that type of brain, but it's like you said, if you really focus, it allows yourself to kind of free your mind almost and just free everything else. And then once you are attacking everything else, it's with a clearer mind, I find. So.
And I think like same thing as breathing. When you're doing something that requires both your mental focus and your physical focus, it like doubles those effects, I really think.
Yep.
Mine is really simple. I right before I go to bed, I have to have a cup of tea every day. And it's like making the tea, and then like I'll sit and drink the tea in bed. And sometimes I'll only have, honestly, like 4 or 5 sips, and then
It's the process.
But it's like that sleep hygiene process for me that just tells me that, okay, it's okay to let everything go. It's time to relax. And there's also just something that's so comforting about a nice hot cup of tea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It gives your body permission to relax,
Totally.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, so let's dive in here with the important questions, though. I'm going to start because I have many questions burning on my mind. But the first one that I have for you, Justin, is which came first? Were you an OT first or a contractor first?
So certainly OT, no question about it. To polish my title a little bit, I'm a co-founder is what I'd rather say. It's really a yin and a yang relationship. Our organization is literally nothing without my partner, Michael Vieira, who at the core of it and foundation of everything is the contractor. So that's the answer. Certainly OT. When we created the company, the need was identified because I was practicing as an occupational therapist in a skilled nursing facility right down the street from our now showroom. And we would work so tirelessly with all the other disciplines and providers to get folks home. That was the goal. We'd create intimate relationships with folks, and the main goal would be to say goodbye and to not see them again. It would be bittersweet. Folks would come in on a stretcher and we'd be watching them walk out, teary eyed, for the best. And you never know if someone was going to be there for a couple days, someone our age with a nasty knee replacement turned infection and no help at home. They're there for a few days and we're working them to get home, and they want to fight like heck to get out of there. And then you have folks that roll in there on a stretcher, and someone still could be our age and nasty CVA, and they're going to fight like heck, but they're probably going to be there their entire 100 days. And they may be meeting goals and progressing 100 days, but the main goal always for those folks was to get them home. We knew sometimes they did move to the other side of the building into long-term care, and that's okay for some folks. But most folks coming into that short-term side, their goal is home. And we would provide home evaluations through Medicare, and we would take it. That opened my eyes to this entire company, this entire opportunity in the community. We would take folks home. They'd have to promise to return to the facility. And that's a challenge. We laugh. That's a challenge. They get back into Command Central, and in that way, they don't want to go back to the facility. So we take them through the processes, up and down from all the seated areas. Where are you going to perform your ADLs? Where are you going to perform your leisure activities? We would get valuable information from those. I would write the prettiest reports. I got really good at writing reports. I'd make it rain with recommendations. Social services would have recommendations. The family would have recommendations. The patient and himself would have recommendations. And it was about a year going into this of just really getting good at telling folks what they could do, should do, or unfortunately sometimes needed to do to facilitate a safe transition home. So after about a year of getting really good at these and really encouraging our facility to perform these as much as possible, I went to my social service director and I said, I haven't thought enough about it. What happens with all these recommendations? I write beautiful reports, and I don't want to minimize the results of them, because we would bring the reports back and set the therapy mat to the right height of that the bed was going to be. We would simulate a grab bar being where they could put a grab bar next to the toilet. We could do some things and have some fun. Set up a tub transfer bench situation where they could see if they can get over the tub wall. Some fun stuff could emerge. We'd know how many stairs they'd have to navigate, so the faux stairwell could work. But aside from that, it was the how is this stuff going to get done? So our answer is why I'm here. It's why you've invited me onto this show today, and I'm blessed and honored to be on the show and to be involved in this industry. She said, we kind of hope they have someone handy in their family. And I got the shivers right now. It's 100% hit rate for me. My jaw dropped. It was the aha moment. And I said, what? Why haven't I not thought of this before? That's service. And I said, to no fault of your own, Christine, I said to her, it seems to not be resources out there to do this. Not only make the recommendations like the three of us in this podcast room can make very well and targeted, but we can't either liability wise, which was the case in the nursing home for me, and more importantly, skill wise. I didn't have the skills. You may, but I did not have the skills.
No, I don't have those skills.
I wasn't allowed to start working on folks' homes that were my patients. Yeah. So it was the aha moment. And I said, that's a disservice to no fault of your own. I want to change that. I want to create an organization that not only makes the recommendations, but is actually able to do the work. Now, it started off with the grab bar on the shower wet wall, the plumbing wall, which is the transfer grab bar is what we call in and out of the space, was the thing that everyone asked us the most. During the evaluations when they entered the facility, it's on our report. We'd have to check the box. Do you have grab bars in your bathroom? Folks would say, no. How do I get one? I don't know. One. Would be for a long time. But I'd tell them they need one. Yep. So it was just a disservice. There was one person in my life, in my network, that I knew was the only person I could reach out to for this, because it's the person in my network, my life, since we were, and I point because it's a quarter mile down the road is Adventureland, which is a family fun center with go-karts and mini golf and batting cages. Michael and I worked there together. It's where I met him when we were 15 years old. Wow. And he was the guy that fixed the go-karts and made them work, even at that young age. And I was the guy that messed around on the megaphone and messed with the safety talk at the beginning and had fun with all the clients. So now here we are.
You were already comfortable in your roles, advising and making safety recommendations and hands-on fixing things.
Yeah, so 15 minus 43, 20-odd something years ago, here he is leading our team of 20 individuals that are actually doing the things and putting things in the community. And here I am talking about it. And I say that lightly. We educate and we create a lot of relationships, and we share with folks solutions to problems that they didn't realize they had or didn't realize there were a solution to. Every day, folks say to our assessors, they say, why didn't I think of that?
You ain't never
needed to. Adult children, why would you? Exactly. You didn't need to. It didn't matter how many stairs you had. 2, 3, 4, 6. Who cares? You're going up like blindfolded with 3 things in your hands until you fracture your hip, until you become 89 instead of 79, and you're grabbing on to the hedges on your way up the stairs, and you realize you don't have a railing. So we created a company that we based it, the foundation of it is all that free evaluation that Medicare allows for the skilled nursing facility or hospital setting. Checking out the home, full assessment. We don't charge a penny for it because we know if we charged $1, we'd be in less bathrooms. And I want to be in every bathroom. I want to see every toilet. When you look at my phone and you search, you can search the photos based on words now. You see the toilet, there's 5,000 photos of toilet. We want to see every toilet. The only thing folks pay for is the work that's actually done. Folks will take our assessment and have their loved ones do some of the work. They can take our assessment, go get the tub transfer bench. I'll show them the link on Amazon, how they can save money, get it themselves. I've educated you about it. I know you can't get the modular ramp yourself or the stair lift yourself. Go get the tub bench yourself. Get the mobile shower head yourself if you can install it. Some people can't, so we offer full service, of course. But the main thing in the model that we love is that, like, you are so excited to talk to me as an OT. We are so excited to talk to you as OT. We speak the same language. We are on the same page about the plight and the journey that anytime when someone calls us or a loved one calls on behalf of someone, we know the healthcare journey that they may have been on. We educate our whole team about the different roles in healthcare and the different journey that an individual may be on until they found our way. Maybe their primary care told us about us. That's the best. Or a senior center because they go and play bingo there. That's ideal. Unfortunately, oftentimes it's the hospital skilled nursing facility that's discharging someone's home and something's already happened. So more reactive. But that's why we created it as the reactive stuff. Now we might be up to around 10+% of proactive calls.
Oh, that's really good.
Folks looking for it's really good because of outlets like this. It's education, making grab bars cool. I want to make grab bar stairless ramps a commodity like a refrigerator, a microwave, and a good pair of sneakers.
So making accessibility cool, making accessibility the norm.
Yep.
Instead of the exception.
I want Mr. Smith to say, yeah, neighbor. Yeah, I got a stair lift because I'm staying here. I'm not moving to a facility like you might. I got a stair lift. Not, I have to have a stair lift. That means I'm less than now.
Yeah.
You got yourself, a guy who knows a guy who knows a girl who got you this little chair that lets you stay at home. That's the win.
And look how it looks. And I got the top of the line. What you got over there? This is what we need to be doing, comparing those kinds of things, not just our lawns.
Keeping up with the Johnsons, not hiding this stuff from the Johnsons. So we work all day to talk to healthcare providers and to talk to adult children on how to talk to their loved ones and their patients. Not, you need this. It's, this could help you live more comfortably and convenient here in this home. Mom, what's a big, I know the chair in the hallway is a change. What's a bigger change? Putting that chair there or moving everything you own, everything you have here and going to another facility?
Yep. Got to put it in those terms.
What's a bigger change, Mom? And then we say, tell them this, use strategies. Tell them it's not for you, Mom. I know you're fine. It's for me. Give me peace of mind so I can sleep at night. If let these guys put in these few grab bars, I'll sleep at night much better. I know you don't need them. Do it for me, Mom.
That is such a good, such a good strategy. Because
and we tell folks, you're not alone. Mom doesn't want the stuff because she's grown up in an age where that is a stigma. And your goal is to break that down with me. So kudos for having these outlets, because these outlets are what is going to change things.
Hey there, it's Amelia. Listen, I am so thrilled to have a great resource like Ask Sammy as part of the Care Lab team. And here's why. It's a game changer for aging in place because it makes it so simple. All you do is ask. Just type in your question or even tell Sammy what the problem is and get tailored solutions. Everything from innovative adaptive equipment to comprehensive resources. It's a great way to become more empowered, to live more independently, and to live with greater confidence. And my favorite thing about how Ask Sammy works is it's deeply rooted in dignity and practicality. So whether you're a fellow therapist, a care partner, or someone who's seeking solutions for themselves, visit www.asksammy.com. We're going to link it in the show notes so you can find it there. Start making home more accessible today. Now, back to the show.
You said something really important. We said a lot of really important things. Let's start there. But something that I think is interesting, I have ideas about, but if you compare the job that you do for somebody who's leaving a skilled nursing facility to the job that you do for somebody that's one of those 10% proactive, what differences do you notice? Is one cheaper than the other? Do you end up doing less on one thing than the other? Talk about how that is.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question.
You're talking easy, depending on what happened and baseline, that same individual proactive call because they called us because they saw our rat card at the senior center or saw us talk at the senior center versus the OT or PT at the nursing home gave us the card because of the fall and the fracture. you're talking about a $1,200 experience versus a $12,000 experience. Easy. That proactive call, we're talking about 2 grab bars in the shower and 1 next to the toilet. We're talking about a mobile shower head and maybe just the fact that a tub transfer bench exists. But likely those grab bars are going to get them over if they're calling us in a proactive situation. There's also very simple shower chairs that can be waiting for the individual in the space. There's now everything I just mentioned is what we still call it the conservative approach, a conservative remodel. It will look a whole different space. Oh, another couple $100 thing, removing the glass shower doors and putting a curtain. Yeah, that gets me excited too.
Yeah.
Curved curtain rod. They're not the plastic moldy shower curtains that you remember that pictures
shower curtains now. Beautiful.
I'm saying, no. Don't picture the moldy shower curtain that you have to throw away every 2 weeks. They're now polyester that you can put in the washer and dryer if you don't like the soap buildup. They're fabric-y now. And, of course, on the outside, you can get any pattern, any beautiful thing you'd like. Curved, mounted rod gives you that hotel swanky feel look. It's when that curtain goes to the side, though, it's that for accessibility. It's wide open. I could talk all day. We could do a whole show about glass doors.
We honestly could. Maybe we should sometime because
it's every month we look at our traction on our website. For some reason, it's our blog post about the dangers of glass shower doors that just hits way harder than anyone. I feel like therapists might direct patients to that when they're talking about. So that being said, that conservative approach I just mentioned, 3 grab bars, mobile shower head, seat, and a curtain replacing the glass door, you're looking at less than $1,000. Plus, we would talk about funding. Now, say there's a nasty fall. And also, if you want to add on that conservative approach, a tub cut to drop it into a walk-in shower, another $1,000. Now you have a walk-in shower 6 inches high instead of 15 inches high. So let's generally, the proactive calls, they're done. They'll have options for down the line if they, and then handrails.
On the stairs.
On the stairs to get
a
couple $100, complimenting the banister that they already have. We see the fingerprints on the wall. Oh, you're using them all. Those are the clues. They do my job for me. A couple $100 handrail. Okay, that's the silver sneaker, proactive, found out about us at the YMCA or primary care provider. Awesome. During an annual checkup. Now, the majority of our clientele, that same individual, but didn't make the call, and then they fell, either at home or in the community. Fracture, emergency room, surgery, rehab, hopefully home.
That's so key. Hopefully home. You already have the risk of not even being able to go home.
Hopefully. During that rehab process, where I was there, I lived it. We're engaging with the family, looking at the home, getting information, sharing information with the rehab team. So it's more of a process. We don't see the person function. So we rely, and it's no problem. It's great collaboration because we speak the language. We talk to the either adult child, spouse, neighbor, best friend that welcomes to this home and shows us around. We then create targeted questions to bring back to rehab. How wide is the wheelchair rim to rim? What device are they going to be using? What supervision or assist level are they going to be for transfers? It all matters. Now, to get that person home, potentially a ramp. That could be, if there's 1 step, it could be $1,000. If there's 5 steps, it could be a $10,000 ramp, depending on where it needed to go. The beauty of our aluminum equipment is we can make it work anywhere and customize it. But you could, let's call it a average $5,000 ramp. Stair lift once you get inside to get up to the bathroom that we had put for the proactive gal. We put $150 handrail. This is going to be a $3,500 stair lift to $4,500.
If it's a straight lift. And that's if it's a straight lift. If it's not a straight lift, if you have a landing or a curve that you got to get around, like all bets are off.
Now you're starting at 15,000. And we make the track like DNA. We take the survey. It goes to manufacturing. In the first case with a straight, like you said, Amelia, that was great. Great point. Straight, we're there the next week installing it. No problem. We're there for 3 hours. No problem. We do it all day, every day. We have 20 of them right here in the warehouse. But if it's curved, Amelia, to your point, we come back in 4 to 6 weeks when the manufacturer creates that lift. So that's very often, but let's call it a straight lift to go easy on this reactive consumer. I mean, she just had a stroke, so let's go easy on her, right? So wheelchair ramp, stair lift, we're at $9,000 now. That doesn't even get you into the bathroom. Now we start talking about the bathroom. Definitely you're talking tub transfer benches that there's a wide variety of them. They're up to from $100 on Amazon to we have $600 tub benches that, swivel, mechanical in nature, do the sliding for you. Talk all about that. We can remove the tub. Listen, that tub's not happening. We need to roll in. We are now doing Hoyer transfers, patient lift transfers. We need barrier free. Sorry, that tub cut it. It's not cutting it. Some folks, no pun intended. Some it will, some it won't. So let's just go pure CVA, maybe right side hemiparesis for indefinite amount of time, right? Working on it at home, plateaued in therapy after 100 days. So barrier-free shower, $14,000. So say we just did the conservative approach because the tub cut was enough. Grab bar, so that's $1,000 in the bathroom. There's your $10,000 right there. We didn't talk about the bedroom, the hospital bed, maybe the railing. We didn't talk about the maybe power lift chair that they need, recliner in the living room. So that's easily a $10,000 project without even going into the bedroom or the living room and being conservative in the bathroom.
And then can I also add on to that though? Let's say that the reason for this hospitalization and rehab stay was a fall or something preventable. It's not just a matter of the cost of the original preventative equipment versus the cost of what you're going to pay afterwards. You also have to think about the cost of that hospital stay, the cost of that rehab, and not just the financial, the cost to your welfare, your health, your quality of life. Like these are things that we can't actually put a price tag on.
Right.
And so is $1,200 worth it to help prevent you having to go down that path at all in the first place? It's gotta be. We spent $1,200 on iPhones, man.
Yeah. That's what we want Medicare to understand, that $1,200 is worth it for their people. We've been told from our national membership organizations, VGM. We've been told by VGM for the viewers and listeners, a membership-based organization that advocates for our industry, home modifications. Is that fair to say, Brandy?
Home access professionals. It's like a great resource for very qualified, embedded home access professionals, of which you can access through Ask Sammy.
Yes, of course. Now, that group has educated us. They've helped us advocate on state levels for funding, and they've educated us that that's how we're going to get Medicare to listen. The more and more states that we check off that create funding programs that are saving the state millions and potentially billions of dollars is when Medicare will finally listen. So they think it's a waste of my time to go straight to Medicare. So I play on the state level now, very, very hard. I play on the state level. So that's our goal for funding. But that $1,200 point, we think it's well worth the prevention of potential and the peace of mind. Gosh, Amelia, you brought up a lot with that, with the more than the monetary value. Like the statistics on falling are ridiculous, even past money. I mean, the money ones are a single fall that results in an emergency room visit is out of pocket around $7,000, but Medicare, it's around $35,000 that Medicare pays on average. Now, other than that,
so if any Medicare officials are listening right now, I feel like this is a pretty easy price comparison between $1,200 versus $35,000.
Yes.
I feel like that's easy. Just if you're listening. Sorry, continue, Justin.
No, if you can prevent a small percentage of that, it saves millions, potentially billions of dollars. Commercial insurance companies are starting to see it. It was Blue Cross. I was fortunate enough to have high-level conversations with a benefit creator, meaning like a product creator for Blue Cross. And he brought it to the finish line. He said it's not going to happen in 2024, meaning funding for stair lifts and ramps and things like that. He said it was close. He had some ears listening, but it didn't pass. It didn't finish. So he said it's a long-term goal. So we're not going to stop. We're going to keep fighting and advocating. But from a private pay standpoint, yeah, it's quite the investment, a small investment for what it could save. Emotional, cost of falling. Folks are half as likely to enter a room or a space if they've fallen there. So that means they're half as likely to bathe if they've fallen in the bathroom. Half as likely to leave and go to Parcheesi in the community if they fell leaving the house. Half as likely to go to doctor's appointments because they fell leaving once, and it's 20 minutes preparation to go down the stairs. So
makes your life smaller. And I think we skipped over something that I really want to highlight, because we kind of already know this, but most people that I encounter think that this stuff is covered by insurance, even at least a shower chair. Right. They're like, well, my insurance will give me a grab bar or something. And we're talking about this in terms of money because it is not covered by your insurance. It is not. I mean, you might have a few Medicare Advantage plans, like you said, that have a way to get a few pieces of equipment maybe, but overall, stair lifts, lift chairs, these remodels are not covered by 90% of the insurance providers that exist in our country. And so that's why you really need to consider starting early. And the other things, because I wanted you to dive into a little bit about how you find some ways in your community to help with funding some of this. Because I know people who can't really handle $1,200 to do the preventative stuff, right?
Totally.
And so, but if you knew that you could keep safe in your home by having this kind of equipment, you could start looking at what's available in your community to maybe pay for that. Absolutely. Because they're great services, but they often have long wait lists. And so knowing now and being proactive and not waiting until something happens means that you can sign up for those wait lists and get into those programs and, use your $25 thing from your insurance company to get a grab bar out of that book, and then, find a son or somebody to put it in. You just need to know what you need to do, though. That's the first thing you need to do.
Yep. And listening to healthcare providers that are encouraging to simply learn about what options are out there really helps break down that barrier. It's the funding source is big. We find it's on a state level and it's state by state, but we start with the Centers for Independent Livings, have some programs. A lot of it's income based, but the folks that are needing help with the 1,200, they oftentimes will qualify. In Rhode Island, we're so fortunate to have a state grant that was in a pilot situation 6 years ago now, and it offers 50% back for all the stuff we do. And when I found out about it, I screamed it from the rooftops. Like, it's on us as healthcare providers to share it. I went on a pilgrimage and shared it with all 100 facilities in the state, and I think 3 therapists had heard about it before out of the 100 that I engaged with. So now it's a permanent part of our state budget. We believe we put a proposal in for them to use ARPA funds. So historically, every year, halfway through the fiscal year, they'd say, sorry, you used up the entire $500,000 budget. Well, that's great because we used the budget and we helped a lot of people, but there should be more money for it. We wrote a proposal for the ARPA fund money, which was, I think Rhode Island had like $2 billion, which is small compared to other states, but it was plenty for us to use. I think they used $1 million or so of that fund to put towards our grant, because 2 years in now since that, we've never been told that we ran out of money, and we use it way more than we ever have because we have more volume. So we're so happy with that. We encourage providers, healthcare professionals, and home access professionals alike to seek funding through the state. All state government websites should have things listed on funding. Our website does a decent job of highlighting national organizations as well. Things like the MS Society, Parkinson's associations, ALS United just rebranded. They used to be ALS Association. Now it's the ALS United. Most chapters have funding, have grant programs. In Rhode Island, it happens to be $1,500 they'll give you. For multiple sclerosis, it happens to be around $4,000 they'll give you. So we do a lot of work to ask a lot of questions about the individual to find funding from there. And anytime we find funding, we grab onto it and we find out how to access it, how to apply, who to contact, and what you get out of it. That's the first thing we do when we find out about any organization. And it's healthcare providers like you that bring to our attention a lot of funding sources. So it's we're all in it together type
So
thing.
the moral of the story is, this is another really good reason why you should start now, because it might take you some time
Yep.
to find an organization that matches with what your needs, income level, diagnosis, or whatever. But once you find it, you might be able to get some of those resources. And then, like you mentioned, Centers for Independent Living. There's one in everybody. No, there's multiple in everybody's state. There should be There should be one in your community.
I guarantee we're the only ones with one.
Right.
Rhode
Well,
Island.
that's not that big, but in everybody else's state.
Yeah. Well, even Massachusetts has about
Mhm.
10 of them. Plenty. I'm sure in Missouri you've got to have handfuls.
So these resources do exist. It just takes work in order to be able to access them. And, lots of different organizations are trying to simplify that. Ask Sammy is Oakley Home Access, which is not just in New Hampshire or in Rhode Island. It's also in Massachusetts and Connecticut are doing it. But this is just another push to tell you, caregiver, to try to take a look at what's available. And starting with your state's website is great.
Absolutely.
Care Lab listener, I have a question for you. If someone you love was going to hire a caregiver, what qualities would you want that caregiver to have? You probably want them to be reliable, trustworthy, kind maybe, just a generally dependable good person, right? Second question, would you also want them to be trained? I'm going to guess the answer is an emphatic yes. Okay, third and final question for you. Do you think it matters who provides that training? Like, is it cool if it's just anybody? Or would you want that person providing the training to be a qualified expert? Assuming you do, in fact, love this person that needs a caregiver, you probably want the expert, right? Well, that's what Higher Standards Caregiver Training does. Higher Standards Caregiver Training provides 100% occupational therapist-led training for caregivers. Caregivers get taught everything from gold standard foundational skills for transfers and activities of daily living, all the way up to how to deal with specific diseases, injuries, and illnesses. And most importantly, they are taught these things in a practical way that enhances the participation of the person being cared for. And it protects the safety of everybody involved. Why? Because everybody deserves a higher standard. Find a course for individuals or learn about training for care organizations at higherstandardscaregivertraining.com.
And the only thing that I would add to that, because y'all have done like an incredible and comprehensive job talking about these things, is that if you're listening to this conversation and you're someone who, well, let's face it, we are all people who will need these things or benefit from these things in the future. Call your elected representatives, like talk to them about these issues. Let them know that you care, because you have power as a constituent you should have power to shape what happens in legislation. And if you are sitting here hearing this thinking, what's $1,200 for this or $35,000 for this, and I don't want my taxpayer money going to waste, or whatever it is that motivates you, call your elected official and tell them what you think, what you know, and what you want, right? And vote. These are powerful things that we can all do regardless of what your job is, whether or not you're a healthcare provider. Like, we can all do these things as Americans. So, like, let's get on the phone, send some emails. Let's do some stuff, people.
I love that. I mean, that is incredible advice, because so often constituents think that they don't have a voice. But I'll tell you why the representatives and the senators care. They care because the constituent cares, because the constituent votes. And they like their spot in office. And especially a real pro tip that we found, it's the newly elected official that want something to grab onto.
So they can champion.
They want to make it an issue for them. Yeah.
Champion it. Be the voice. Add it to your platform that you care about the seniors. It's bipartisan. It's what's awesome about the grant that now it's sitting in for Massachusetts. This grant, we were able to find a senator to have her legal team create verbatim the Rhode Island bill for Massachusetts. They switched out Rhode Island with Massachusetts. This was 4 years in the making. And this shows the power of senators and representatives that care. She cared enough to get it going, but has not cared enough to champion it. She ended up looking back. She sponsored hundreds of bills. Nothing against her. But it's sitting now in the Ways and Means Committee, which is the last step but it's sitting there because it needs someone to grab it and champion it and use it. And it's the power of the people saying, hey, I care about this. I care about this. If you care about it, then they'll care about it. So that's how things change. When I was able to work through some very big roadblocks with Medicaid, because Medicaid just doesn't understand our equipment, and they want to reimburse us like we're dropping off shower chairs.
Yeah.
And they're giving us prior authorizations for installing 100-foot ramps. It's the same code as a shower chair. Because I had to pave the way. I had to create it and get very, very close with the payers to say, hey, listen, this is DME. Let this be called DME, even though we know it's not. So state officials were very integral in getting me to the right table to say, hey, this is what we need the reimbursement rates to be, or else business will be able, we physically won't be able to pay our payroll if we don't get reimbursed X for these jobs.
And we rely on businesses in this country. We're a capitalistic society. So like private industry is what steps in to do these things. It's not publicly done. So we have to make it feasible for people who are running businesses to do it.
Can I give y'all a concrete example too of this? Like this just happened. Here's a because I know that everybody always says call your legislator, and like you're like, what does one voice do? Okay, let me tell you, literally this just happened. So in Kansas City, there's multiple counties that are in our metro area. Every county around the main county, which is Jackson County, for Kansas City, has a senior fund in which they've taken a little bit of property tax money and pulled it aside for seniors. And they created an organization so that org can decide how that needs to be best used for seniors. So seniors can then apply, and they have varying levels of income restrictions, and then they can get varying levels of money to do home modifications and get transportation, have caregiving, right? But Jackson County didn't have one. And in a matter of 6 months, a group of people, I'm talking like some business owners, some nonprofit owners, and seniors got together to make a committee to like push this effort. We got it on the ballot, the November ballot. The people voted for it, and it got passed. And like that happened in a very short amount of time. And it didn't take like a massive amount of people, and it was very collaborative amongst the kinds of people there. And like the people who really pushed over the finish line were the seniors that came to the hearing to say why this was important to have and to put onto the ballot so the people could vote on it. And then the people voted on it and they passed it, right? Because everybody has a senior, everybody's going to be a senior. People want to be supported when they get to that level. And so in a relatively short amount of time for politics, we were able to create funding in our county that is now going to be able to be used for Jackson County residents. So this is doable. And you could take that same playbook and use it. You should take that same playbook and use it in your own community, because you can say, look at all these other counties that do this. This is how they do this. The people voted for it. Let's do it here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's the power of politics if you know how to use it. Absolutely. I love it.
So I know we're coming up to the end of our time. I have one more question that I really, and it's kind of a pivot, but I really wanted to ask you this, Justin, before we wrap up here today. And that is, I know you said so essentially you don't charge for the OT portion of what you do. However, it is really important that both an OT and a contractor be involved. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about why is that? Why do you need both of these particular parties to have an effective solution?
From a business standpoint, in the business climate, it's our differentiator. To be honest, it's what separates us from any equipment company. There are national ramp dealers. There is 1-800-STAIRLIFT. There are big corporate enterprises out there. It's the relationships with you, Amelia, and you, Brandy. It's the healthcare piece that allows us to look at the whole picture. It's holistic. You're going to love this. We'll never go into a home and look at a stairwell and say, ooh, look at that, how wide and straight that is. This is a perfect place for a stair lift. Wow, you got a power outlet right there too? Awesome. Easy sale. No. It's all about the person. The person wants to go upstairs. Does the person transfer from one chair to another? Does the person have upright sitting balance? with a little motion. Let's call it dynamic because they're moving.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they home alone? And do they have the cognition level to operate a machine, a computer? I don't know. I collaborate. We speak the same all the time when I'm talking about our model and the why are you spending the time with a healthcare professional in the home? We speak the same language. We are telling the loved one, let's call it the spouse. It's often the spouse we're engaging with. Tell the healthcare provider to call us. Take the report itemized and call us out on it. He won't need this side grab bar on this side. Great. We want to prioritize what's on this list, not complicate it. We're not trying to sell anything. We're trying to educate about what exists. We used to say, for when we created the company, because my mind was in the clinical field, recommendations. We always said recommendations. We've pivoted. We're providing options based on what we know about the person, what we've shared, what we've learned about the individual and how they operate. And we know for a fact on the equipment side, when we're giving it as an option, that it will fit and that it will work structurally. Then it's a collaboration piece. We're never going to say you should have a stair lift versus a ramp. It's what do you think? Oh, these are the options based on what I know about you. And let's all talk about it. Let the family care. Let the healthcare providers care. That's why we think it's imperative to have a CODA or an OTR in the home, engaging with the individuals, looking at the whole picture and identifying solutions that could potentially help them. It's imperative. I don't care if it's a single grab bar or a full home and it turns into an elevator. That first touch, that first education has to be a healthcare provider in our model because it's the yin and the yang. We're nothing without the other side. We're merely a construction company without the OT portion, and we're merely, with nothing against it, but we're merely a consulting company without the construction side. But we're not. We're all of it, and that's our power, and that's our differentiator against any other equipment company. That being said, outside of our territories, we'll refer those equipment companies because it's a good start. Great equipment. All of our competitors, great equipment, good stuff, good end result oftentimes. If you're outside, I've sent family members through VGM, vetted through VGM. Atlanta was one of my aunts moved to Atlanta. Found them a contractor through VGM who did stair lifts. Now, they probably didn't have an OT at the house. Probably wasn't the same experience as us, but she got a stair lift because someone was able to identify that she needed it. So it's a team effort. There's no right or wrong answer. Nothing against any company not using OTs, but I think it's pretty imperative. And I think all the work you guys do is to show that us as clinicians are leaders in the construction space. And all of us leaders out here, I love LinkedIn because everyone, the Janet Ingalls of the world, the Brandy Archers of the world, screaming from the roof, Cindy Petitos of the world, screaming about, educating about how, hey, we're here. We make a difference. We'll help you. We're making a big campaign to developers and builders because on multiple occasions last year, we were brought into situations when if they had brought us in before the concrete was poured for the foundation, or even worse, before the walls were up and the framing, then let's just call it pure monetary, pure money. The developers would have had 6 places to offer elevators for their incoming clients. Now, those can be considered in the developer world add-ons like the $40,000 awning. They would have had 6 opportunities to sell elevators within the footprint. Now that we're introduced at this stage of development, they have 1 place. Each of those units, there's 60 units. And this is one example, one little developer. There's 60 units that they've built, and where we've been introduced into the situation, now they have 1 spot in every unit that they can offer an elevator. And if that purchaser doesn't want it there, they lost out on a $40,000 upcharge is how developers look at it. They want to sell them all the awning package. Now, with us, they would have been able to have 6 spots for that thing, tucked away here, tucked away there. So we're making a big campaign for architects, developers, builders, designers, to contact the OT. We don't cover everywhere. So the OT that's involved with home modifications before, it's okay to have blueprints because you can change blueprints, but before you start pouring or break ground, let's say, talk to us, meaning not Oakley Home Access, meaning an OT an ECHMP, a clip, a caps. Talk to somebody that lives it. Even though they don't have hammers in their tool belt, they get it. You guys get it. So that's our push. That's our education. Because builders have been like, why didn't we reach out to you before we poured this foundation? I don't know, because you didn't know. And then the families say, when the homes, they say, why didn't we call you before mom had the stroke? Well, you didn't know, and we can only move forward. So let's move forward together. And platforms like this educate, and help folks be more proactive. So again, kudos for what you guys are doing here.
You heard it here, folks.
All in OT. We're screaming from the rooftops.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being on this episode of Care Lab, Justin. It was such a pleasure. I hope that we can have you back again sometime, because clearly there are 100 million things that I think that we could all talk about and soapbox on and dig into and have a real good time. Listener, if you made it to the end of this episode, please make sure to download, subscribe, and follow. That's going to make it easier for more people to find this kind of valuable information that we're trying to bring you here on Care Lab. Don't forget to leave a comment. And if you have a question, if there's something that you want us to cover, put it in the comments. We will do our darndest to make sure that we are covering what you want to hear about. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Care Lab. Bye.
Thanks, guys.